Pokémon Sun and Moon are here, introducing the world to the 7th generation of Pokémon games. To commemorate the occasion, I've decided to take a look back through all of the main series Pokémon games up until now to really investigate what it is that's made the franchise so successful and long-standing. Join me in my series of reviews through the main series Pokémon games, ending of course with Sun and Moon themselves. So without further ado, let's go. Yeah. Pokémon Red and Green were the first ever Pokémon games released, dropping in Japan on the 27th of February 1996, but let's not talk too much about that. So as an improvement to Pokémon Red and Green, Pokémon Blue was later released in 1996 on October the 15th via CoroCoro magazine, and then again later on retail almost 3 years later in 1999 for some reason. Pokémon Blue was very much affixed to the many issues of the previous games, so when it came time to localize them to English, Red and Blue were chosen to be the ones localized, meaning Pokémon Green was never released outside of Japan. Rest in peace, my friend.
Hello darkness, my old friend.
Well, that's all cool and fun, I hear you say, but what about the games themselves? I thought this was a review. Yes, well, section number 1, gameplay. Pokémon Red and Blue are, as we should all know, RPG or role-playing games. You travel the Kanto region alongside 1 of 3 starter Pokémon of your choice, Bulbasaur, Charmander or Squirtle, and very much to get to decide your own destiny with several limitations of course. The gameplay itself is a combination of overworld navigation and a traditional rock paper scissors style battling system. Fire beats grass, grass beats water beats fire, everybody beats me in battles, and so on. With 151 Pokemon introduced, there's something for everyone to enjoy. If you like dinosaurs, dragons, turtles, bees, birds, rats, bats, cats, rocks, magnets, horses, birds, more birds, crabs, sludge, balls, tongues, eggs, professional Hong Kong martial artist and actor Jackie Chan, mimes and or fish, then you're in luck. The overall design of the region provides frequent opportunities for the player to progress however they wish. You can choose whether to go down path A, B, both, or neither if you don't want to progress, to get to destination C. It's little details like these that make no two playthroughs of the game the same, offering a lot of variety between each individual copy of the game, as well as a lot of replayability. The Pokemon world is vibrant and alive. There's people and Pokemon around every single corner. You can walk, talk, invade people's homes, fight them, steal their money. The Pokemon world is your oyster. This is one of the things that I think makes the games so difficult to put down. We all remember the "just one more battle before I go to sleep, Mom" syndrome we had as kids, right? Well, I certainly did, and I never once meant it. There's just so much life in these games to seep into the active imagination of a child. Heck, even if you're not a child, with no imagination at all, like me. With that being said though, considering Red and Blue were the very first Pokemon games released, they do have some issues with the gameplay. Most of which are due to the games being outdated in comparison to their successors, which, of course, isn't exactly avoidable. Most of these are minor issues which, when put together collectively, you can look at and say, yeah, this game's not quite as good as the others. But since I've already rambled on a lot in this section, I don't want to talk in circles and repeat myself when I discuss these later on, so I'll save listing these for later. Section number 2, Story. Unlike pretty much all of their successors, Pokemon Red and Blue don't really follow a storyline. It's basically just choose, fight, win, goodbye, with a more open world for the player to explore and choose how to progress the story themselves. However, there are confines to this as follows. Number 1, you have to defeat the gym leaders. Number 2, you have to defeat Team Rocket. Number 3, you have to defeat the champion to win. The end. It's more so the story of the individual rather than the individual in the story. The story is about you, your journey, and the choices you make to progress the game rather than playing through a confined box where you gotta do A to get to B to get to C. There is obviously some of this, as the games do have a brief narrative outline, but for the most part, it is good. And as any good kids game should do, the games instill good morals such as teamwork, friendship, being adventurous, neglecting your family, neglecting your friends, not studying, never sleeping, always play Pokemon. Section number 3. Visuals and music. As a set of Game Boy games from 1996, there is of course very little they can do with the visuals and music. These features are both very 8-bit, which is completely excusable because, as previously mentioned, they're Game Boy games from 1996. But how good are these aspects exactly? As a fan of soundtracks and media, I must say that Pokemon Red and Blue have some of the best 8-bit soundtracks I've ever heard. The themes are mostly happy and upbeat, communicating the strong sense of adventure that the games try to promote. Most of these themes are extremely memorable as well, which I must say is strong praise for a soundtrack. I can't tell you how much these games' music have got stuck in my head when I shower. And as for the visuals, for a 20-year-old 8-bit game, some of the visuals are not too bad. Of course they're outdated, but a lot of the sprites just look... yeah. It isn't all quite so bad though. The overworld sprites mostly look alright I guess, and if anything help to make the games feel more nostalgic while playing. If you play the game with colour like you see me in the background footage, it is good experience. Each city or town will have its own colour theme, and the in-battle sprites have their own colours as well. But unfortunately you won't always be able to play these games in colour, and it does feel a lot more flat and boring without the colour, unless you're on a Game Boy Color or fiddle with the settings on your emulator. But don't do that! Emulators are illegal. Section number 4. Overall pros and cons. Oh boy, it's come to that time where I summarize. Remember earlier where I said I was going to list things? Well that's now. Pros. Fun, addictive gameplay. Pokemon Red and Blue offer a vast overworld of content to explore, as well as an engaging battle system that promotes the whole one more battle before bed mom mindset. Promotes social interaction for young children. Well, it's easy for a game to keep you locked up in your room, away from physical contact with any other human being, like me in Overwatch. Pokemon does just the opposite. The games encourage kids to get out there and meet with friends playing the games too, so they can battle and trade Pokemon. And get that Alakazam for their team that I never got. A wide variety of choice. The presence of 151 Pokemon allows the player to construct their own dream team with their favourites. Furthermore, the semi-open world nature of the game allows you to choose who to fight and when, as well as when to go to which locations and which paths to use to get there. And finally, the Pokemon world feels vibrant and alive. There's always somebody around to go talk to. People can tell you interesting things, chat about Pokemon, battle you, give you items. There are different kinds of Pokemon everywhere to encounter and explore. This makes the games leap right out of the screen and drag you right into the experience. And now for the cons. Most of these are more nitpicky and simply outdated game mechanics, but since they exist within the games, they shall bear my criticism anyways. Some poor visuals, especially if you play without colour. Limited bag space. You can only hold 20 different items with you at any one time, meaning you have to frequently use a very tedious PC storage service. A very tedious PC storage service. You can store your Pokemon and items in the PC at Pokemon Centers, but you can only set one box at a time to look through rather than being able to view all of them back and forth as you please. Furthermore, you only get a list of the Pokemon's nicknames, meaning that if you forget the nickname of a Pokemon you're looking for, you have to individually check through all of their stats just to find it. Pokemon have an individual special stat. In later games, this was rightly split into special attack and special defense. Here, they're both under one belt. This means that Pokemon with high special stats are much stronger than other Pokemon without, as they can both deal a lot of damage with special attacks and take a lot of damage from them too. Critical hits are based on speed. Therefore, Pokemon with high speed stats are also a lot more valuable than those with lower speed stats, as they can deal a lot more critical hits in battle. The Psychic type. In Generation 1, Psychic type Pokemon like this guy are only weak to Bug and Ghost type moves, and guess what? There's very few damaging moves of those types. So combining this with the above criticisms, a fast Psychic type Pokemon with a high special stat, like Alakazam, is extremely overpowered. This heavily throws the game off balance. The in-game level curve is uneven. The start of the game has a drastic level curve upwards, with Brock and his level 14 Onix being only the 7th trainer you can fight at the very most. After this fight there was a very smooth level increase, which, if you did training to defeat Brock, allows you to become somewhat overleveled for a while. But then again, after the 4th gym, you have a massive level spike of about 10 levels at the 5th gym. After this, it again balances out until BAM! The Elite Four shoot through the late 50s and early 60s. An overall lack of moves. Some Pokemon are left with very poor movesets as they simply don't learn any powerful moves of use, and some Pokemon types have very few damaging moves of their own. Dragon, for example, only has the move Dragon Rage, an attack which always does 40 damage regardless of type matchup, meaning the full potential of Dragonite can't be used. Sorry, Dragonite.
I've come to talk with you again.
Well, that wraps up my... hang on. What's that? Section number 5. Pokémon Yellow! Did you really think I would do Pokémon Yellow in its own video? Or even not at all? I promised to talk about all of the main series Pokemon games in this series, so I already have enough videos to make. Besides, there's only really a few changes to discuss, so we'll be doing it in the same video. In Pokemon Yellow, you start with a Pikachu rather than having the choice between 3 other Pokemon. Your Pikachu follows you around wherever you may go. You can even turn around to talk to it at any time. How you doing today, Pikachu? Oh. This helps to make the game feel even more alive, as we see for the first time that Pokemon are more than just pixels on a screen. They're pixels on a screen with personality. Plus it's just so darn cute. Yellow also has a much higher difficulty cap than Red and Blue do. The levels are higher almost throughout the game, providing a much more challenging experience. And finally, the other major change is that you can receive all 3 of the Kanto starter Pokemon in-game without trading. This is the only main series game so far where you can get all of the region's starter Pokemon without external interference. I consider it a pretty massive boost in the game's favour in comparison to the others, although it does slightly hinder the uniqueness of each copy as pretty much everyone uses all 3 of them. But you don't have to. Don't feel too pressured. But other than that, it's a lot of the same really. Section number conclusion. As much as I do appreciate these games for what they've done, the simple outdatedness of the mechanics offers no real reason to play them anymore. The games are horribly unbalanced, uneven and glitchy, but despite all that, they are the games that started it all. They brought us the fun, addictive gameplay that dictated our childhood. They led to the many hours of Pokemon-related entertainment ever since. They brought millions of people together and changed millions of lives, mine included. Pokemon's been a huge part of my life from a very young age, as it's done so much for me. It's given me friends and a community that I can interact and play with, and even led to this YouTube channel. If a game so unbalanced and glitchy such as this can change so many lives in such a drastic way, then that, my friends, shows that the fundamentals of the game have great potential that I believe is being fully tapped into with each and every update of the series released. Thank you all for watching this video. This is the first time I've produced something of this magnitude, so I hope you enjoyed this as much as you would my regular playviews. If you're new, hello! Make sure to subscribe if you want to continue watching my series of main game reviews leading up to Sun and Moon. Up next we have Gold and Silver, sometime hopefully within a month from now, maybe a bit more, I don't know, I can't really say. And yeah, some other videos going up in between. Follow me on Twitter if you want to keep updated with the progress of the next review, and with that, I say to you, adios.